Coming up next, the town of Framlingham, England, with my special guest, Jim Pillsbury. Stay tuned. Hello, I'm Jack Barron, host of Travels with Jack on Access Framingham TV, where guests share with our audience a recent trip, a vacation, a cruise, or even a business trip. They'll share their photos and you'll hear about the very interesting places they have visited. On this month's show, my guest is Framingham resident and town meeting member from Precinct Number 6, Jim Pillsbury. Jim is the producer and host of two other shows on AFTV, Jim Pillsbury Live and Wicked Green. In February 2014, while on a business trip in England, Jim took some time to visit the town for which our own Framingham was named back in the 1600s, Framlingham, England. He shares that visit with us today. What parts of the world have you visited? Please be my guest on Travels with Jack. Share your travel experience with our viewing audience. Please phone us at Access Framingham TV and let us know you'd like to be a guest. You can phone AFTV at 508-875-5434, or you can send an email message to info@accessfram.tv. Our associate producer will contact you to make arrangements for you to be on our show here on AFTV. If you don't live in Massachusetts, we would be pleased to assist your travel needs to get to Access Framingham's studio. And now, let me welcome today's guest, Jim Pillsbury. Jim, thank you very much for making it to here.
Pleasure is mine.
I'm going to give the folks a little bit of a biography. Jim currently lives in Framingham and is, as we mentioned, host of the Jim Pillsbury Live television show, as well as Wicked Green, which is a seasonal television show that is seen here on Access Framingham Television. Jim lives in Framingham, and he is a field service engineer for a scientific company with offices here in Framingham. He's a grandfather of 4, congratulations.
Sure.
And one of his grandchildren, Lillian, is the co-star of Wicked Green. Jim is also, as we mentioned, an elected Framingham town meeting member. He's a well-known community activist with a passion for the decriminalization of marijuana and is an advocate for the medical use of medical marijuana. And no, folks, I did not smoke a bunch of joints with him before the show. You're going to get my standard television show. Jim.
Are you asking me if I smoked pot
I didn't ask you a word. Jim is a pot connoisseur and can speak at group meetings and special events about different varieties of marijuana and ways to grow healthy and vigorous pot plants and get good, strong leaves. Welcome to Travels with Jack. And if you would.
What an introduction, Jack.
You
I'll
like
tell
that?
you, that is just, that's an Emmy right there, buddy. You're getting an award. If I may just correct Lillian, my granddaughter, who is really the star of the show, Wicked Green. There are times I go in the community and I'll be at a cemetery and somebody drove up just on Memorial Day and said, "I love your granddaughter. She's the star of the show. She's so cute." She really is just my pride and joy. She loves gardening with me, and it's for me to have your grandchildren or children involved in something that you'd love to do, and that it's good for you is really a pleasure.
I have a grandchild coming, I've been told, in December.
Good.
And I believe it's going to be a young lady, so I will be very active in teaching her my lousy gardening skills so she can improve on
gardening
them.
is gardening. Whether it's good or bad, it doesn't really matter. The fact that you try your best is really...
Mrs. Barron tells me my tomatoes are lousy.
Oh, jeez. Well, that's not a good sign. But that's all right. You've got time to, when you retire.
So tell me a little bit. You went to England. Did you leave out of Boston? How did you get there? Did you take a cruise ship? Did you fly? How did you do it?
I'm part of my responsibilities, or the company that I work for is based out of the Ipswich, United Kingdom.
Okay.
So part of my responsibility once a year is to go there to train. And I was there, left out of Boston, and was there for 13 days. And some of the rainiest weather in the world.
Oh, it can be.
Is there. I saw the rain one time, the sun one time for my trip to Framlingham, as a matter of fact, and I was like, the gods were good to me, because even my host said, "Boy, it's odd that we have such a beautiful sunny day."
Oh, really?
So yeah, it was really.
Is this weather continually like that, or is it when you went?
I've been there twice, both in the fall. They say it's like that pretty much all the time. If you get an 80-degree day, you're really lucky. And we had sleet when I was there, and that's odd to see in a country that doesn't, they have no way to deal with that sort of thing. They don't have the infrastructure. So it's I got to say, it's the greenest country. It's quiet. The trucks don't sound like our trucks. The gas is ridiculously priced, but all cars get 50 miles to the gallon. I mean, it's really, it's where my family comes from, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yep. And
from that very area?
No, about 3 hours north of that.
Okay, so just for our viewers, Framlingham is about 2 hours south of London, a little bit to the west.
Right.
So you would have been about an hour north of London is where your family came from.
Pretty much.
Did you get a chance to go there as well?
Well, what I did was, I didn't realize Google was different in different parts of the world. If you Google,
I didn't either.
Well, I found that out by accident. You can Google, any Pillsbury, Jim Pillsbury, anybody, and if you Google me, you come up with 20 pages. If you Google somebody else, there's a whole bunch of Pillsburys. William Pillsbury was the person that originally left England, and in 1640. So just by some chance, I Googled William Pillsbury when I was there, and I discovered that a family relative in 18-something wrote a book of the history of Pillsbury's, and I downloaded it on my computer. It was like, you couldn't get that in the States here.
Oh, so you mean there was different information available?
Yeah, different data
really?
Crunchers get, for whatever reason, I guess that makes a great deal of sense. You'd have to really dig on our side of the Google side to get to that.
I'll ask, my daughter is a executive with Google.
Oh, cool.
I'll have to ask her. It does nothing for me on YouTube, folks. Believe me.
So anyway, I did get to read where William Pillsbury was from and all the different iterations of our last name. It's been changed 7 times, and it goes back, 14th century, 13th century. I can't remember exact dates. But the interesting thing was, I did discover that William Pillsbury left the UK in 1640.
Okay.
And the next time you read about him in history anywhere is in Newburyport, Massachusetts, where he was arrested for disturbing the peace.
So this is where you got your advocacy
from. I'm telling you,
from.
if it's a gene thing, I can trace it all the way back there, which is really phenomenal.
Now, does your family, when you connect your United States history. Do you connect to this William Pillsbury
yeah.
from Newburyport?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And I recently found out my father's father's father was Parker Pillsbury, one of this
I like
country's
that name.
first abolitionists. And he was shunned by his, slave-loving white people, friends, and he really
and from Massachusetts, but Massachusetts was very pro-abolition as an overall state.
Well, they had, I think, intellectually, the intellectuals that were in Massachusetts had a lot to say about it, and he was very vocal about it. So
now, was he a reverend or anything?
he was, I think he was just a rich white farmer who was against slavery.
Okay.
That's my impression of him.
Newburyport's not the best farmland between you and me.
No, but consider this. What kind of country, or what was the makeup of Newburyport in 1640 for you to get arrested for disturbing anything?
Fishermen and whalers, believe it or not. Newburyport's a seaside community.
Okay, well, you're disturbing what peace, I guess, is the kind of question.
Really?
I think you'd have to be.
So he was a relative, but he was rich at least.
Evidently had more money than most. So this whole trip kind of spun off into this historical look at my family. My father was Penn Parker Pillsbury. His father was Pearlie Parker Pillsbury. It goes back into Old England, and it's really this
you know what, Bill? You got to move the pictures along because wait, no. I got to do another show with Jim on his family history.
Oh, no, it's not that.
I love the name Parker Pillsbury. That's terrific.
We were entertainers and anti-war people, and
well, you carried on the tradition. You do two TV shows.
We did.
So you have that quote. You're an entertainer.
My father was a dancer, singer, and dance man in the 30s in Boston.
Really, in vaudeville, you're saying?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was in Boston. He sang with the big band and danced with the big band era. He would have been 99 this year, as a matter of fact. So
I like that.
He would have been. Well, I think it's an entertainment thing that it somehow got ingrained in the family.
That name. Did he call himself Parker Pillsbury?
Penn.
Because I was going to say, that sounds very much that generation. Like there was a famous band leader, Benny Berrigan.
Oh.
I don't know if you know that. He was a big.
I don't think I do.
But
so anyway, this whole trip to the.
What do we got here? This
is a very famous church, St. Michael's Church in Framlingham, and we're kind of starting sort of in the middle. But I want to tell you that I'm not a big church guy, but this church is just one of the most incredible things anybody could walk into, not being very religious.
The stained glasses.
Unbelievable.
Do you know what years this church comes from?
I believe it was 13th century.
Wow. So the 1200s.
It doesn't say. I can't. But
pretty old.
It was pretty old.
And this is an Anglican church or a Catholic church?
Anglican church. I'm pretty sure.
Probably.
Catholics weren't really. I don't think they were even allowed to live back then, were they?
I don't know when Henry VIII disposed of the Catholic Church.
Yeah, I couldn't name that answer in 45 minutes, Jack. So we'll just move on to the beauty of this. Now, this is a picture, a blurry picture. My apologies. These shots are all done by yours truly. This is the tomb of poet Henry Howard, Earl of Surrey, and his wife Frances. So there's two of them laying there. On these, it's just extraordinary.
I see the black and white tile with
it's all marble and
Westminster has that same. That must be a very traditional British look.
Yeah, you got to wonder where all that beauty came from, and how long it took to make it even back then. But this is starting in the castle, and this is actually called Framlingham, the castle, and you can see pieces of brick that have been added over the centuries, but what really makes these walls is these pieces of flint. And somehow, when they built this, it still stands today. as a monument to the builders of back then. It was just here's a fireplace of
brick oven pizza
yeah,
joint.
I'm telling you, Bertucci's has got nothing on these guys because I'm sure they cooked hundreds and hundreds of loaves of bread every day, and it goes back a good 10 feet, but it's still there, which is to me is just amazing, just amazing how it just looks so pristine. And back to the church, these are these wall hangings, and they're kind of religious connections to whatever it is, but they have significance in some religious way. I'm not really sure what that is, but they really stand out when you walk into this.
They must have been a pretty good builder. The walls are pretty plumb.
Yeah. This is a quasi window. I was trying to capture the stained glass. Not a very good job, I will admit.
No, I like it.
All right, this is the entrance to the castle. This is Framlingham Castle. And you can see, I'm trying to capture for you the width of that door. That width is about a foot. I stuck my foot up, and it must weigh, tons and tons, because you can imagine it's about 20 feet by 30 feet high or whatever.
Is there a moat around this castle as
well?
There
was at one point, yeah, and you'll see pictures of that. I believe it's dry now, but these are the gates, the bars they put up so that you don't jump from any of these openings. We're about 75 feet in the air, looking out over the castle. But look at how that construction, the hunks of rock and flint, and somehow with weather and all the rest of that, it hasn't deteriorated and fallen down like things in this country have. So there is the one of the walls of the castle. I'm up as high as they allow the tourists to be, and you can see that there's towers in between the walls. Those little cutouts are where the archers stood and shot their arrows.
It looks like a movie set.
Yeah, it's a trip, man.
I'm waiting for Tyrone Power to come out with his sword.
This is the front entrance down a beautiful hedged walkway, and you can imagine, 500 years ago, there were people walking down there, through there. They would have to be allowed entrance to the place because it was kind of like a secure community.
How did the town itself look to you?
It was one of the most peaceful places. We went on Sunday, and the blue laws still work over there.
Oh, really?
So nothing was open.
Yeah.
There wasn't traffic. It was very calm. There wasn't Dunkin' Donuts or 7-Eleven or kids on two-wheelers.
Well, you need kids.
Well, yeah, you do, but the streets are only this wide to begin with, so you get a kid on a bike and a car. I tell you, it's a harrowing experience when you expect, you drive on the other side and you don't always get that. That feeling that you're right on top. Well, anyway, next picture, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right.
This is a sundial.
Okay.
On the side of the church, which is, as we know...
And if you notice, the numbers are going differently than we're used to on our clocks.
This allegedly goes back to medieval times when they discovered that they can use those things. And you know what? My buddy George figured, I asked him what time it was, and sure enough, it was exactly that time, 12:30. So it was just kind of really cool to see.
I think it's interesting, though, that it's the opposite of our clocks today.
Yeah. So that hangs on the side of the entrance to St. Michael's Church. But it still exists today.
Look at that.
Even with the acid rain and all the weather and all the environmental stuff that's going on, it's just amazing that they could build anything that would last that long. It's just... So
now I see scaffolding.
Yeah,
what is that?
So the British, they really do love their monuments,
Okay.
their
History, their history.
their past.
Yes.
And they have an ongoing program, as you can see, to restore things on an ongoing basis.
Oh,
so
really?
they probably,
so you're saying they budget money on a regular basis for maintenance of
the
historical
money, admission
places.
goes into that and all the rest of that. But it's really, I think it's a philosophy. They are very proud of what still stands there, and that people like
As they
me,
should be.
as they
should.
absolutely should be. We're such a young country. I mean, we have some old stuff, but it doesn't nearly compare to 13th, 14th, 15th century stuff.
Well, we weren't
around.
We
Well,
weren't around.
actually, now we know that we actually came from, the Jews came up into the middle of our country and had things with the Indians. I can't wait for the Rizzoli's to hear this.
I never heard that. Really?
I just saw this, and I was just waiting for somebody
You'll have to send me
bring
the
this
story.
up. But anyway,
What
the
do you mean,
point
through
is,
Canada?
no, through South America, when where continents were different, and they came up and they were actually in what we know now as Northern America.
Really?
And, yeah, it was.
And what trading? They were trading.
They were probably looking for new worlds.
I know. You'll have to send me that story.
It's a cool story.
I'd like to read that.
When I saw it, I said, "This is."
But anyway,
because,
so they,
you know what,
they
that
do
goes back-
maintain. I will say the United States, in my opinion, has done a wonderful job setting aside huge tracts of land
Agreed.
for national parks
Agreed.
and things. I really do.
Absolutely.
I don't fault
Absolutely.
the country.
Absolutely.
And,
No,
Now, all
absolutely.
right, so this is in
This
the
is
castle.
the ceiling
Okay.
of the church, St. Michael's Church. Now look at that ceiling. It's a squared,
Yep.
almost gabled type. Maybe gable's not the right word, but it still exists. Look at those long beams.
Yes.
Those are wooden, solid beams, not one break in them, and so is the wood around the arch. Amazing that wood.
Yes.
You couldn't even find that, I guess, anywhere in the world at this stage, but it still is just beautiful how they've made that
How it
in
has held
architecture
up.
and how it's held up through all these millennia.
I'm surprised, quite honestly, with the weather they have, with so much rain.
Me too.
That
Yep.
you didn't get excessive deterioration.
I would have thought the same.
I know it.
This
Okay.
is still in St. Michael's Church. This is one of their, monuments, things, all beautiful wood doors that still exist from,
I can't believe this really looks out of a movie scene.
It's just
they
the
always
coolest-
have doors like that in those
and
old
it's
English
completely
movies.
open. There's no locks anywhere. There is nothing. You just walk anywhere you want through this thing. The organ, I did try to sneak in and play the organ, but it was locked up.
Okay.
But this is one side looking down from the entrance. Beautiful pews and marble floors, and man, the place is
Now,
just...
do they still use the church actively? They do.
Yes,
Okay.
they absolutely do. I don't think you could fit more than 50 people in there, but it's more about celebrating the building,
But
how
they've
it was
kept
made.
an active congregation.
Oh,
It sounds
absolutely.
like
Yep,
for
absolutely.
literally hundreds and hundreds of
of
years.
Absolutely.
Isn't that wonderful?
It's a beautiful, and I'm not big into churches, but I got to say, this is what they built for their shrine to honor whatever religions they were talking about back then, and they really did
it
a
was
great.
built as a Christian church,
Yep.
so
Look at the pews. You only have 1, 2, maybe
Yeah.
8, 10 rows, but the archways are just
what a great spot for a wedding.
Oh, I wonder.
Yeah.
I wonder. I'm sure they probably would allow that, but it's just an incredible sight.
See,
Again,
this
it's
is
the
what
stained glass.
folks who are watching, this is why you want to travel. So you see these things
Yeah.
that we don't have. We have some old stuff here in Boston, but
Yeah.
not quite that old.
Agreed.
So
Yep.
this is one of the reasons I always suggest get out there, see things, do things,
Yep.
because this is all very exciting
And
stuff.
that stuff's going to be around for the next millennia. I don't see that ever going anywhere. They're going to preserve that as best they can, for as long as they can, and they're going to make that. I was in Ipswich in this 14th century church, and it was absolutely remarkable. Out in the middle of the town, there's this beautiful old church, and they take care of it,
Oh, yeah.
and it's
Italy too.
it's-
The churches are
Oh, really?
beautiful. Oh, yeah.
They're, right, steeped in history.
Yes.
The whole
Yes.
religion thing goes way, way back in that country. They really do a remarkable job. And
I'll tell you, this is one of the
keeping that
reasons
beautiful.
I'm very, very upset with what's going on in Syria
Oh.
and some of Iraq, because we have Christian communities there, literally over, 2,000 years old.
Oh, yeah.
And the destruction of their churches and the people.
Yeah.
It, to me, is a devastating issue,
Yeah.
and I won't get into too much
No, but
politics,
it's true.
because
It's
we
true.
don't really have the time. But it's something that bothers me greatly, and I would encourage our viewers to reach out to their public officials and tell them it's important to protect the Christians in these Middle East areas and their way of life. It's a historic treasure that we should be looking to protect.
All religions should be protected.
Yes.
All mosques, all houses of worship, they should be sacred. They
Yep.
should be sacred territory.
Yep, I agree.
No matter how much hatred you have towards the
No,
other
no,
ones,
I
you
don't
know?
have hatred toward anybody, but I'm just
Regardless
saying
of-
I just feel so strongly that these communities are being destroyed and their memories. You know, when you see churches like this is memories.
Yeah.
People's
Yep.
lives, their history. All right, here's the conservative club.
Oh, I had to throw this in for my friend Doug Freeman, because he's the only outwardly conservative guy I know. But they to have that kind of sign right in downtown, and that's where. But as you can see, it's pretty modern.
Now, is this for the Tories, or what is this specifically? Is it a?
It's a club. It's the conservative club.
But no, they don't refer to the Tories or the particular political group.
It's the local Framlingham Conservative Club.
Okay.
It meets in that building right there.
Okay.
So, Moore Castle. So you can see those two standpipes going straight up.
Yes.
Now, those used to be where the kitchens were, and they would make.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
According to the.
That's where I'd be, you know.
Yeah.
Checking
well,
out the food.
Considering this place is such a massive place, they must have been cooking 24/7 to feed everybody, because I'm sure there were, at least hundreds, if not thousands, of people in this
Oh,
thing.
so you think they did? Did you have a tour guide for this at all?
You have a little.
Oh, I know you mean a microphone with a
Thank you.
earpiece and
Yeah.
a tape recorder.
Yeah.
Did it say they had huge cooking here?
Yeah,
Oh, really?
that's where the kitchens were.
Wow.
And there's some big ovens down there, and they were very smart back then. If you notice, the standpipes go over the top of the
I
castle.
see that.
So that the smoke, I'm sure it was massive, would be blown. Not into the thing. I wanted to show you that scaffolding. That's what you
Yes,
saw
right.
on the side. So they do this professionally. You can see all the ramps and all the metal girders by the construction people. They make sure that everybody's clear
Kept
and
away,
safe.
sure.
And but
Tell me a little bit about food. Did you get to have some interesting dining experiences on this trip?
I know why my family left the country sometimes. They have the best.
Forgive me,
They have
I
the
never
best.
heard this.
They have the best fish and chips anywhere. I will say that.
Okay.
They really do. I absolutely adore it. But most of that food, bar
Other than
food,
the
is
fish
not
and-
my.
okay.
It's not my thing.
But you were thrilled with the fish and chips.
I was. There were. They.
I will say, I've never
differently
been to that area, but London today has a great food scene.
Yeah,
Honestly.
I'm sure it does. I'm not a big restaurateur guy to begin
Okay.
with. I don't go out to eat here. I only go out to eat because somebody takes me, or
Okay.
I really need to eat. You take your life in your hands every time you go out to eat.
No, look at me. I eat out all the time.
Well,
You can see it.
Sometimes get food poisoning, and then you may actually change your mind. I'm not a big eater outer. I
you
like
did
organic
enjoy the
stuff.
fish and chips.
Yes, and I did get to eat at an organic restaurant when I
Oh,
was
really?
there. So,
And were the greens and everything local from the area?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was good. It was good stuff. I got to say. So, but the hospitality there and everybody is just lovely.
If you
They
get
are
back
absolutely
there,
great
being an
people.
engineer, I didn't even get a chance to ask you what kind of particular engineering you do, but with that kind of availability of water, where you tell me they had such tremendous water there, there would be a terrific to do a lot of hydro vegetable growing, which requires a lot of nice fresh water. So that would be a particularly good business for that area.
Everything there is green.
Yeah.
The grass is green.
But when you have that kind of, water and so many, well, go ahead, I'll let you talk about this.
This is this was the well. This was the well in the middle of the castle grounds.
Okay.
And now it's all filled in. But imagine, people milling around this big area. Now this is a couple hundred feet to that staging that you see up there. So, but it's green. So look at how beautiful green it was.
Oh, yeah.
This was November when I was there. This is another one of the fireplace shots that.
Now, was the church on the property?
The church was right next to it.
Okay, so you think that was the church these people who were connected to the castle went to?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You walked out across the moat, and the first building, the first real big building on the right was the church. So it had to have been connected. And even then, there was a separation between church and state, which I thought was a good thing, even back then.
But England doesn't have that.
Yeah, I know. So just check that that hunk of wood that's above that fireplace.
Yes.
That is one solid piece of wood.
Oh, really?
As a
and
mantle.
It's still there.
And it's still there.
Amazing.
I mean, man, that just.
This takes us off into the countryside a little bit.
I'm not sure where we're either going to or going from. And
it looks like New England.
Yeah, it does. Only we're on the wrong side of the road.
Yep.
And okay.
Another link, Elijah Corlett, it says.
This is this has to do with the Danforth family here in Framingham.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yep. And the Danforths came here, settled here, bought a big chunk of land, and somehow between the trip between there and here, the Danforths left out the L.
Okay.
And that's how Framingham is now named Framingham, and Framlingham is Framlingham. So like other towns in the Massachusetts, like Ipswich, like everywhere else, everything else is actually the same, spelled in the same. So anyway, that's a little bit of the history of how the Danforths and 1699. And
then they mentioned Framingham in the United States.
Yeah, in their brochures, they actually where to find Framingham.
And it says, if you can't read it well on the TV, 3 members of the family played significant parts in the early life of Harvard University.
Yep.
So they were active in establishing Harvard, I guess.
Yep. Yep. And thanks to them, most of what we call Framingham now is Framingham. So they bought a big chunk of land there. This is the construction of this facility inside one of the kind of the in rooms, and the brick is obviously modern or the last couple hundred years, but that wood is the original wood. And look at those beams, man. It's all post beam. It's all post. You drill a hole, stick a post in it, post beam. And it just.
Oh, wow. This is the same church?
Yeah, that's St. Michael's.
Oh, it's got quite a big, and this was, oh my God, built in that, what did you say,
Huge.
1200? Oh my God.
I think 13th, 14th century.
13th century would be 1200.
It was a long, long time ago. And it stands like, this is one of the fireplaces that is in the castle, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, this is part of the, that's part of the castle. That is a nice picture of the sun, maybe.
The one day you had sun.
Yeah, yeah. You can pass on
Now,
that
did
one,
you
Bill.
get to see any shows there? Did you go to any local theater groups or anything like that in the area?
No, I'm not a...
Because England very often has a lot of these community kind of playhouses, as we do. We have summer stock down the Cape and up in Maine.
Yep.
They have a lot of that, which is very nice.
I'm sure they do. I'm not a big traveler.
That's our next trip.
yeah. Well, I find that it's best. It's always safer to stay where you're supposed to be. I always seem to get in some sort of trouble when I go out of the.
You can't help it. It's a family trait.
I was in the Dominican one year, and they came and actually told me I had to leave the beach because I went too far. And if you go too far, you end up meeting the indigenous people, and they don't like white people. So
You're kidding.
Yeah, some of them were not.
I can't believe anyone wouldn't like white people.
I'm telling you. Well, yeah. Well, anyway, so I stay in a lot, and I try not to try. I don't drive over there. I refuse to learn how to drive on that side of the road.
Did you see in this community, just as an aside, was there diversity at all in the people of the community, or was it a very English white?
They're all white.
Really?
Oh, pale.
So you didn't pay.
Yeah. Yeah. Notice that Framlingham, a flourishing town. Now Framingham.
Oh, it's a Saxon town.
Framingham wanted to rebrand, and I always thought that might be a good way to.
Interesting, though. You notice it says a settlement in Saxon times, so there were Saxon people. You have in Framingham Saxonville, which they must have named.
Scary how that all ties together. This is a print of what they think this looked like as a real castle, living, working castle, with some wooden buildings. That's where your housing was. That's the seal of the Framingham, of the town. And as you can see, it was beautifully sunny, which I was so thankful for.
I see that church, though, plays a premier role in the town seal. Yep, it's right there.
Yep.
And that looks like a well pump over to the right, so maybe that well you showed us in the middle of the
could very well be.
Castle was a very important aspect to the town.
And of course,
is it called a town? What do they call it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's called a town. Town Trail.
Town, okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's a. So this is just another picture of the beauty of their architecture back then. Those windows are about 30 feet tall. I mean,
really?
it's huge. This is the inside. This is what happens when the photographer says, "Hey, what's the inside of a fireplace look like?" And that's what it looks like, burnt up, whatever it is.
That's all right.
And then
is that
of course,
you?
there's the old man. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So that's on the way to Inn. You asked about where I had eaten. A colleague of mine took me to the Kersey Bell, 14th century restaurant.
Really? And it had been in business since then?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was absolutely, I think I made mention of the fact that a lot of places over there, people were a lot shorter back then. So you're a tall guy, I'm not quite as tall, but over there, you really have to be careful of ducking down pretty low. I mean, because everything is much shorter.
Yes.
The entrances, everything is much shorter. The beams, the huge beams, the carrier beams that come across.
If you go into like Plymouth Plantation, I mean, it's probably been a long time.
Yep.
As a kid, though, well, you wouldn't realize it as
sure.
a kid. But if you went today, you'd see they have much lower roofs.
Oh,
and
absolutely,
stuff.
absolutely.
If you went on the like old Ironsides, you see the ceilings and the ships are very low.
Yep.
So yes.
Yep. It's amazing, though, that they turned, and this was basically somebody's house, and turned it into a restaurant, hundreds of years ago. But it was just so cool to have tiny little rooms, 2 people in a room, 4 people in a room. The bar was no bigger than 6 feet.
And the food was pretty good.
Oh, the food was wonderful.
See, look at that.
Oh, it's just absolutely fantastic. But not every. Well, I should say every place is probably as good, but I don't go into every place. So you gotta be thankful that the place you pick is a good place. It was just an amazing. The beams were I'm a real wood fan, and to think that hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago, those trees must have come from somewhere else.
Well, they have
because
some beautiful woods in England. You know, they have like yew wood, which has beautiful grains to it and everything. They have some very nice.
But that country was basically flattened. All the wood was taken from it. When you drive through the countryside, you
don't
see real. You know, there are patches of woods. There are patches, but basically, they cut everything down a long, long time ago to either burn or build.
Well, no reason not to grow again.
Well. True, but
you're a gardener. Now I got a job for you. We're going to send you there for a month and have you plant trees.
Coincidentally,
planting with Jim Pillsbury.
They grow hemp there.
Oh,
they do.
Okay.
They do. They grow hemp, and it's because.
Tell me the truth. Were you researching a business over there?
You're
going to become a hemp farmer.
I tried to buy a hemp log over there, and mysteriously, I just couldn't. I couldn't do it. So.
What? You weren't licensed or something, or what?
I'm an American, so how am I going to get a hemp?
You could have said I'm using it here.
You're not allowed to have hemp in this country.
Oh, wait a second. So in England, they're growing hemp, but you can't use it?
You can't use it here.
Oh, yeah, but can you use it there?
Well, what they do is
rope. I should grab this picture while it's up here.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's just me standing by the sign. But you can see there's no activity there. That's the downtown. That's Maine. The castle is 100 yards to my left.
Yep.
It's quiet. It's beautiful. It's serene. There's no cars there. I got to tell you, if you want to relax, this is the place to go because it is just very, very just quiet all the time, which I really, you can't go anywhere on a tourist attraction around here and not be inundated. So this is
a friendly place to linger.
Yeah, friendly place to linger.
Back to the hemp. While we'll grab the pictures, I'll alert you.
Yeah.
So are you allowed to smoke marijuana in
No, hemp is not marijuana.
What is hemp?
Hemp
I know they make rope out of it.
Well, hemp goes back to the forefathers of our country who grew it and used it for clothing, they used it for money, they used it for food, they used it for fuel.
Oh, you can eat it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So in England, I got to say the Brits are smarter than we are. Years ago, they've already done this. They burn hemp.
Yep.
Hemp stalk. Crushed together, make it a pellet, and they burn it in their electric stations. And they burn less coal. And what that means is that their emissions are now meeting the standards, the worldwide standards.
Let me ask you this: when you burn hemp, does it give off a smoke that would give you kind of a euphoric feeling?
No.
Okay, so hemp has nothing to do with
marijuana.
Marijuana.
No.
Okay. Well,
no.
For some reason, I always thought it was somewhat connected.
And this is usually when I make fun of the person who says that.
That's all right.
Who's
you
my
can make
age.
fun of me.
So anybody that would not know that, but anyway.
So hemp has no connection with.
Absolutely not. And it never has.
So why could you not bring hemp back to the United States if it has no connection whatsoever to a euphoric drug?
Believe it or not, in this country, you cannot have the basic core ingredient of clothing, paper, all the rest of that. You can have hemp paper, you can have hemp clothing.
Yeah.
But you can't have hemp.
Why?
Because the government says it's a bad thing for you, and that's been going on.
What is it they say is bad? That's, I guess, my question.
They say the government has no way to distinguish between marijuana that you consume and hemp that you use for clothing, food, and fuel.
But you said hemp is not a drug.
It's not a drug.
So you need to bring a bill forth to...
I do. I have Massachusetts Hemp Farm Bill. Believe me, I've already...
So what happened?
Jack, I've been on this for 30 years.
Well, I don't understand. If there's nothing in it that is
Because it looks like it.
Same leaf. So does a basil leaf.
So does a poppy.
So they say because it looks like a marijuana leaf, they don't want to allow it.
That's right.
Isn't that foolish?
Now you're getting with it, Jack.
No, I don't argue with you anyway, but that's quite foolish.
That's what we want to hear.
All right.
Someday in our lifetime.
Let's talk about the Earl and Duke of Norfolk.
Oh, God. Were they bad people or not? Jeez, they were Well, they were forced to sign the Magna Carta by, note that word, the Magna Carta,
Yep.
and that's how, we really kind of got going here in the beginning. So,
Oh, this is what, the history of the castle?
Yes.
And who lived in it?
yes.
Oh,
yes,
really?
Yes, yep. So that was I think I saw 1190.
Yes.
So I guess you could go as far back
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah.
There's the river that's alongside, maybe, I don't know, 100 yards away from one of the castle sides. But you can see how beautiful, serene, green. There's no skyscrapers there. There's no nothing. It's all just beautiful, beautiful land. What that was there for some reason, Monday through Saturday, no return within 2 hours. Well, anyway, that's right outside the castle. That's downtown.
Downtown Framlingham.
Oh, more church, more beautiful stained glass. They must have taken them a lifetime to do all that. I just can't imagine what it was taking.
And this is
there's
a crypt.
that tomb. And yeah, you can't get close to this because that, for some reason, they must think that you're going to rob it or something. So.
Well, unfortunately, Jim, in a lot of these places where there are these antiques and such, there is some theft issues.
Yeah.
Where people go in and if they have an opportunity to get something that they think may have value,
That's not right.
they do.
Yeah, I can't imagine moving a couple 100-ton of.
No, I know, but sometimes they'll take a piece or something.
Oh, jeez. All right, what else we got, Bill? Now that, ladies and gentlemen, is, 150-foot tree. And that's an original tree that goes back to the days of the beginning of the castle.
You're kidding.
It is, yeah. It is.
The tree has lived that long?
Yeah.
Wow.
You can only imagine the base of it was bigger than the car that we were driving. Well, you can see by the proportion of the walls.
Really? They say that tree is 1,000 years old?
It's been there since.
Really?
That's what they say.
I had no idea a tree could live that long.
Listen, over there, I think something could live that. You don't have freezing to speak of.
Yeah, but
you don't have 90
you
degrees.
have lightning. You have fires.
Yeah. There's only that one tree there. There are no other trees like it around there. More stained glass. Those were some really cool, I thought.
Family crests,
probably. Inlaid in that. So that family must have been, each one of those families must have had some influence or something that they would be revered.
They paid for it.
Oh, they paid for it? Oh, okay.
Sure.
It was advertising. Yeah. All right. Yeah, it's like Billboard. Sure.
That's how they raise money. Same way they do today. You put your name on a plaque and pay for it, and they put you up.
Good point. Yeah, good point. They were doing that even back then.
Even back then.
Now that is the organ, and that's what I wanted to try to get in and see if I could play. Not that I know how to play it, but.
And are they saying this organ is from when the church was built?
Yes. Yeah.
Really?
I'm sorry, 17th century.
Oh, okay, came later.
Thamar organ. I have a picture of it here on a postcard. It's almost like a two-story building. I don't know if you can actually see
tremendous.
it. The proportion when you're kind of shooting up, but it's incredibly tall. And that door at the very bottom, you don't see it well. That's how you get into it. But it is just an amazing piece of architecture, musical instrument. I only wish that I were there to actually hear it play, because I can't tell you how cool it looks. That picture doesn't do it justice. The postcard does, by the way.
The poorhouse. Tell me about the poorhouse.
Yeah. So I felt at home when I got to this part of it. Even back then, they determined, the hierarchy determined that there were poor people.
Okay.
And that poor people that couldn't do anything, they couldn't take
care of themselves,
ended up in the poorhouse, and evidently that was the poorhouse, what you see in the background.
Now, did you visit the poorhouse?
It's gone.
It's gone.
The wooden structures were all burned down, or they lost them hundreds of years ago. But I'm hoping that you get to see. I made a picture of some clothing providing for the poor.
Okay.
So that was, even in our heart of hearts, we were providing for the poor when we were, very young, not even here yet. And as a philosophical point of view.
So what you're saying is the people who came and built the United States, who came from England,
Yeah.
had a history in England.
Yes.
Even when they began to develop the United States, of having a place to protect and
Yep.
take care of the poor.
Absolutely. Yeah,
So-
absolutely.
so-
that's encouraging to know. For me, that's encouraging to know because
Well,
there's
it
so
tells
many.
you that the people who developed the United States had a place in their heart and
Yes.
understood
Yes.
there were going to be poor
Yeah,
people.
Exactly. Right.
So you
Yep.
mean when I hear all these people tell me, oh, these were all evil men, white men, they always throw in white.
Well-
I'm white, I can't help it.
Well.
Anyway, when they all say evil white men developed the United States, from this history, you're telling me they had a place in their understanding
at least
that poor
outwardly,
people had to
right.
be taken
At least
care of.
outwardly, they've made an attempt.
I never knew that. It's a good thing for me to learn.
Yeah, I think it was great to see where the origins of the
course,
poorhouse actually came from, and it was us. It was white people that had enough means to be able to provide that
To help for the
within
poor.
their own little group of.
I think whenever you read in history, if you read about the times of Jesus and everything, there were poor people.
Yeah.
There's always poor people.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
I don't think it disappears.
Yeah, but these kings who ruled this.
Yep.
It was made a conscious effort to do that.
Oh, there's a Rotary Club there.
There is.
Okay.
There is, and they're very active, evidently, over there. And it's in the same building as the Framlingham Conservative Club.
Oh, really?
Wouldn't you know, huh? It's so funny. So
You should tell the Rotarians here.
I did.
Oh, did you?
I did.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. One of the new members to the board, I said, but. Anyway, if we could just flash back to that real quick, Bill, thank you. That is the stone work, part of the wall that they have kept alive after all these millennias, and you can see how thick that is. I mean, it's feet thick. It's not a little skinny wall.
I can sense that.
That is unbelievably structurally sound, evidently enough to stand the test of time all of these years.
And the roof looks pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's slate, but
Yeah,
to
they
be
use
honest
a
with you,
lot of slate roofs there.
I can't place the roof right at the moment. But and there's another picture of. I was trying to explain the use of all that rock.
Yep.
It almost looks decorative.
They blend the rock with the brick, which is an interesting.
Well, I think the brick is more of a, maybe 18th century repair, 19th century
really?
repair.
You think so?
Because I'm not sure that the corners would have held up with the material
so
that they.
you're saying you think the stone is the original material?
Yes, the
Could
stone
be.
is absolutely the original, and the
Okay.
brick is there to shore up.
To shore up the stone. I got
as
you.
as I see it, because they didn't have the capacity to make that brick until I don't know, 15th, 16th century
Well,
sometime.
and stone, if you looked at the steeple of your church, was all stone.
Right, that was
cut
hand-carved stone.
stone.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I don't think they had the knowledge yet of making
The bricks.
baked brick.
Baking the bricks.
But anyway, you can see that's one of the entrances to the museum in the back. That it's absolutely remarkable. I'm so blown away by their caring nature for this.
You got to go back next time and go up to where your family originated.
Yeah, I
look
found
into
out
it.
it's a pile of rock in some field. The original
Well,
house
you gotta.
is.
Maybe there's some history there for you.
Well, I could bring back a rock, but chances are good I'd be arrested for some kind of, you can't move the historical rocks, or like in Framingham,
Oh,
you
I
can't
think
take
you're
a
right. I think you
Stonewall
can't
rock,
take- yeah.
and move thanks to, you can't do that anymore. So, anyway, what else we got, Bill? This is the stairs to, these little openings you
Yep.
see, these conical shaped openings are where the soldiers shot out their arrows. So this is
I
at
know
the
what you're
kind of
talking about. Yes.
And those are the steps, those same guys, and those original,
Yep.
those are just steps where you would step up, lock and load, discharge, and
If you watch an old Robin Hood movie,
yeah.
you'll see that's the
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
they always have the arrows coming out
exactly,
of. I know
right.
just what you're talking
so
about.
it was so cool to stand on steps that, just so long ago, other people were barefoot and, shooting flame torches and, I tried to capture the texture of that.
Yep.
This is the
You did.
inside. Lots of mortar, but you know what? Lots of that flint. And sharp as heck.
Oh, you mean you can cut yourself easily?
Man,
Sure.
I'm telling you, I can see how they, the early mankind used flint to break a nice edge and use it to
Yep.
cut things. It was really. It's hard to imagine the texture of that wall.
How
sharp it is, and how many people have walked by it and put their hands up to it. And
Now, did the business people you visited with join you here also?
my friend George and his wife, yes, took me there.
Oh, they took.
Because yes, because I'm such a whiner. I say, well, I can't drive anywhere. There's no mass transit. I went into the last time I was there. I went into downtown Ipswich, and they have a lot of outdoor malls.
Okay.
Like we used to have here,
Yep.
Shoppers World.
Okay.
Well, they have a lot of that over there in Ipswich, or where I was, and it goes on. I mean, it's little tiny little streets, no cars. Everybody walks. Cab drops you off. You can go anywhere you want to go. I'm walking down this one little place, and I stop, and there's a Clark Shoes.
Yes, they come from there.
Well, my daughter.
For this,
Oh, yeah.
a little more scaffolding around the castle.
Yeah, scaffolding, and you can see the depth of how far they go to fix this.
Yes.
I mean, there's wall on the left, wall on the right, and there's a big opening there. So they'll somehow rebuild that whole thing. And years from now, you will never even know. Well, you'll see a repair, obviously, but structurally, everything will be the same. That was a cool trunk in the church. It actually had a sign on there that said, "Jim, please do not try to open."
And do not touch.
And don't try to drag it out of here, because it's probably a ton. There was the.
This looks like Holland.
Yeah, the one and only wind turbine that I could find.
Is it a wind turbine?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
And there's a great story about it. It doesn't run anymore, and it's every time I've been there, the winds just howl.
So why aren't they using it?
They're using them on the water.
Okay.
They have a plan
Was this too noisy?
I don't know all the details, but it was this
There
kind
were
of
some
thing that.
issues with wind where people say they're very noisy and
Yeah.
make a whirling. I've also heard people complain about harming birds.
Yeah.
So I think those are two big issues
think
I've heard of.
Those are the type that the Dutch made that move very slowly.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, the blades are
Yep.
very, very wide. I
So you
believe
don't
they
think
move.
birds? I know we're going to have to finish up.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you, thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
coming.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And you've got to promise to return to us.
I will.
So we can talk further
In the event-
about hemp gardening.
Well, let's try to do that. Thank you, Jack.
Jim, thank you.